Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Martini Motorsports. Basically in the middle of body work, so figure it's a good time to get you guys updated and start on a new video. As you can see, the welder's put away temporarily behind me, basically because I'm done welding and fabricating on the foundation, the actual shell over here. I think on the last video I showed you guys, I was in the midst of the subframe connectors, which have now been completed. I'm on the passenger side, so let's bring the camera up and you can see how everything is consistent from side to side, the lengths of the pipes, the angles, yada yada. Subframe connectors. Basically this is going to be the base of the 10-point Rhodes chassis that's going to get welded into here. The hoop's going to start here, and then the front chassis or roll cage is going to tie into there. So that is done. I went farther and stitched up. Do we have light? So let's go and follow what I got done here. So subframe connectors are in, obviously, but if you look around here, okay, welded the quarter panel to the rocker, not on the outside. Same thing up here, small bead into the A pillar to the rocker. There's a little stitch in between every spot weld up there, back here. Remember how loose this was, so I did tie the B pillar to the rocker, like stitched it up, and then stitched up the tub all the way as far as my MIG welder could reach into there. I had my friend Frank here doing some body work, and he blew some holes in here for me that I had marked out. Just another spot where I figured it didn't need the strength since we were strengthening it up with the welds, and another chance to get rid of some weight, so we put some there. If there's any more spots, I figured I will put some. Up into here was stitched. It's kind of like two pieces, a top and a bottom. Same thing on this side. If we go inside, same thing, like I said, stitched in between every spot weld. I did put a couple pieces in there just to kind of tie that in. And I didn't come up here because it's already so strong. I mean, there's a spot weld every inch or so, so this was like the strongest part of the vehicle in the first place. If you come inside, you can look. The inside of this has kind of like a frame, so I've put a stitch, about 2 inches long to hold those pieces in. Same thing up there. It comes back, kind of triangulates, stiffens up the top of the vehicle here. So we got this thing pretty stiff, and just by lifting up the front from before until now, I could do it with one hand. Here you go. Basically pick the whole car up with one hand. So, I keep doing that, and you could tell when you're tightening up the car just how much more solid it feels just by doing that. So, what else have we done? We did get a set of RC component wheels. These are 12 by 10 and a half, or I'm sorry, 15 by 12 inch wheels that are double bead lock. It says 17 by 4.5 up front, and these are the same Mickey Thompsons as we used on the Lincoln LS, so it's kind of cool to be able to run those. The tires are just a slick. I've never ran a slick before. These are, I believe, like a CO2 or something they call it. CO7. So that's gonna be like a soft drag slick from what I was told. So these are like halfway worn out, maybe a quarter of the way worn out. So these are just to mock the wheels up into the tubs, which I'll get ready to do hopefully tonight if I get the body work done. I'll shoot you some pictures of that because I've already done one of them and it looks badass. So can't wait to get both of these on there and see what it looks like. Another thing that I've done is we had the stock Lincoln Mark 7, the rear end laying over there with the control arms on it. Basically a rusty pile of junk. So rear end over to the boys next door, streetcar shenanigans they call them. You can look them up. They got a YouTube channel. They got some pretty cool streetcar builds. Basically Ford motor stuff, stock 4.6, 5.0, you know, some pretty cool stuff. Nice chassis, but the reason I picked them to do the rear end is because, for one, they're right down there. They're starting to get popular. And for two, I walked in and I seen some pretty nice work. They have all the jigs to do everything. We're going to shorten the rear end. I will know the better once I get into getting these wheels in there to give them the measurements. But basically we're going to shorten the rear end to fit those wide tires, and it's going to get a spool, probably a 410 or so. And yeah, don't know about shocks yet. It's going to get some control arms, probably whatever they recommend, and we'll go from there. That'll be a video alone on itself. So let me look at my little cheat sheet. Another thing that I've done is, if you come over here, there used to be body molding holes. So what I've done is, I could show you from the inside. I just kind of took some tin snips and cut out some little squares of sheet metal and held it in place with a magnet, and MIG welded it from this side and then ground it, filled it in flat with welding, and yeah, kind of like this. So this was filled in flat with welding and ground down, and I'll body fill over that. These are a little dense actually if you just run your hand over them, so that's how that'll work. You can come in here and see there's some more. Those moldings were kind of heavy to begin with, and I never really liked them, so we're going to lose some weight and have a cleaner look. Another thing that I did was the power antenna hole. Just cut a big square of metal and MIG welded it up here from the top, ground it. I'm probably got to fill this more so we don't end up with a sinkhole after it's finished. This is going to be a refinished car, guys. Show quality finish. It's going to be black. People say, why do you pick black? You see everything in it. And that's exactly why. There's not going to be nothing. Like I told you guys, I've been doing body work for 15 years plus, so why not have a immaculately straight black car, right? So We got really lucky with this. Minimal rust. There's some down here at the corners. And that's it. Someone made some repairs back in here, and water got under the seam sealer. So this car's never going to see any road like a daily driver. We wouldn't normally fix rust because it would come back right away, but I think I can get some of this out and kind of capsulate it with like a body panel fucking bond adhesive or something. We'll figure it out when I get to it. Maybe a 3M seam sealer. It's gonna get epoxied over, so we'll figure out from there. I'll grind it a little bit and clean it up and go from there. This side cleaned up and ground pretty clean, so just kind of filled over it and feathered it out. This car was gonna see any kind of rain or daily driven, that would come back. That would be a no-no. We got very lucky with this car. It has one coat of factory paint and primer, which you would normally see on a newer vehicle, but this is old, and the clear coat was starting to come off in spots like this, you know, from the wind or whatever. And that's about it. Other than that, the panel, the paint's in good shape. Just a clear coat coming up. So, other than that, no rust underneath. Floors are solid. So it was pretty good. Some of the tools I'm using here is this little DA with 3M paper on it. All my abrasives are 3M. I've learned not to cheap out on abrasives. So this is 180, and that's what we're blocking with. And you're gonna block the filler with 80 grit. So that's what you use on that. There's the other block I'm using. A long one. You want to use the longest block that fits the contour, and that's it. The reason I'm not using power tools on this, if you look, I'm actually using the factory paint as filler. You can see like anywhere where it's like that is a dent, so I'm just blocking it down. Now we want to make sure we get rid of all the clear coat. Remember, because the clear coat's what's breaking down, so anything we put on top of it is going to peel off. So we got to make sure at least all the clear coat's off of it when we block. You can see where the dents are. So if you don't get the clear coat off when you're blocking, you know that that's going to at least need a little bit of filler. Up here, I didn't want to get too crazy with the body work, because then you start getting into, you know, adding weight. So just wanted to straighten out the things you could see. So I welded shut all the holes in the strut towers, and I put a layer of filler. Same thing up here. That's going to be visible. So I just kind of skim coated it. Sanded it flat with a DA with 80 grit on it. All the outer panels, that means the quarter panels, the roof, I'm using hand blocks. Doing it by hand because that's the only way to get it straight. Easiest way. You can see the high spots. So basically you just sand, and you got 3 layers as a guide. 3 factory layers. When you hit metal, you gotta stop. That means there's a dent there. You know, that'll probably fill with primer. You have to straighten those out with filler. Oh, there's a factory seam up here. Just want to get that a little straighter than it was in the factory. there was some weird, they must have brushed against something back here, and most of that I pushed out from the back, but it's going to need some more filler work down here and around this gas cap area. Rear body panel just kind of scuffed it because it was nice. With the rockers, there was some dents on it. Up here, one on the other side, and that's it. We're using 3M Platinum filler, 80 grit for the filler. These are clean sheets. If anyone wants me to get in the video on how to properly mix and apply body filler, then I'll put something in the comments and I could probably dedicate a whole video on it. How to do that and how to block. So that should be pretty cool. If anybody does, actually. So that's what we're gonna do. We still gotta scuff the underneath and get this thing in a black epoxy primer so that I can get it back on this bench over here and we can weld the chassis cage in. So also we have a bunch of holes where we had body plugs and such, which we're gonna have to cover with a metal tape, and I'll prime and stuff over it because we want to seal everything off. Some of these will get a there's gonna be a metal aluminum plate back here, and then I'm gonna have to cut and make covers for like the speaker area and all those holes up there because we want the inside to be airtight. I'll have to cut something down here to seal these off from the outside, thin aluminum, and we're probably gonna just glue it on with like a windshield urethane and maybe a couple rivets to hold it in place, and that's gonna make it airtight, and it's gonna also make it fire retardant. Any kind of holes that we have left, fire will find a way to creep up there. Hopefully there never is a fire, but if there is, that's one thing that's in our fire safety program to do, is this, and we'll get more into fire safety when we get to it. This car is going to get a fire suppression system, probably 2 nozzles and a bottle pole handle, just in case. I've seen some nasty wrecks with some nasty fires, so as long as it takes to get out of the car, you know, that saves you a little bit.